So, I went down to Birmingham yesterday to see Tranter Lofts and Blake's Lofts because I'm in the market for a new pigeon loft. I've only got 2 sections in this one. And these are pretty occupied, so I'm going to need somewhere for my race team next year, or young birds, or breeding loft, whatever I do. I need more sections anyway. I think general takeaway from it is you've got a bit more bells and whistles with Tranter Lofts, and they use a thicker cladding as standard. Blake's Lofts, more everyman kind of loft. I preferred the floor in the Blake's Loft, and I preferred the cladding on the Tranter Lofts.
Come on then, let's get you fed.
And I'm sure you could probably get both from either if you specified it. You're noisy, aren't you? Anyway, I'm just going to put a couple of minutes from each. If you want to see more footage, then comment down below and I'll add that into the next video. So just a couple of minutes from the Tranter and then a couple of minutes from Blake's. I would like to go and visit Echo Lofts, I think, maybe one other before I make the decision. I've got to get the loft by March, I think, so yeah, I don't really want to build another one. I'd rather buy it. Yeah, so comment if you've had a loft from any of these guys, or if you have a loft from a different supplier, then feel free to comment and let me know. Obviously this is England. I know we get a lot of viewers from all over the world, South Africa, America, Canada, and some from all over. Where we got? I did look, actually. What I should say is, if you're watching this video and you like it, please subscribe. I think 96% of the people that watch these videos don't subscribe, so it'd be great to get that up a little bit. It'd really help the channel out. So like it, subscribe it, click that bell thing and all that jazz. Oh, share it too.
You know, I was just thinking I need to cover these under here because it looked like all the feathers we're collecting. And it turns out one of the birds has gone down on an egg. Looks like they've laid. I didn't realise there were any hens in here, but they've gone down there, and I knew that was my own stupid fault because I didn't have enough plywood to block that last bit up, and then all the feathers were being collected in there, and I thought they'd eaten the broccoli that I'd put out for them, but actually they just turned it into a nest. Yeah, that's not planned. We've now got a hen in the cock section underneath the nest boxes, on an egg. So I think it's a hen. I will speak to Charlie and find out what I'm meant to do about that, because I'm pretty sure I know people do let them lay. I'm pretty sure there's an egg in there. There is, isn't there? There is, look, she's coming out now. Yeah, there's an egg right at the back. I should probably buy some pot eggs. I'll get some pot eggs from Doncaster. But yeah, I mean, great, they lay eggs. It's weird because it's quite exciting in one sense because it's the first egg that we've had. I'm sure people that lay, not people that lay eggs, I'm sure people that got pigeons see this all the time. I know they throw them away. But it's the first egg. But I can't use it. I don't think I can use it. I'm going to ring Charlie. No, I don't want it. There's no use to me because I'm just going to, even if it hatched out, I'd have some really late bred birds that are going to be no use to me. I can't train them. I've got nowhere for them. I've only got these 2 lofts. And they'd be hatching out in like Christmas. Or not, no, they'd be hatching out in December. And they'd be fledgling in wrong, all wrong.
When I went to Tranter, they were in the middle of building a loft, but they didn't, it wasn't finished, and it was quite dark in there, so I couldn't get the best shots. But again, it was quite dark, so I couldn't get the shots that I really wanted.
This one is 16 by 8. So 16 by 8. So the design of this one in particular, you'll have a polycarbonate roof along the front here. The whole front end here will be polycarbonate. The customers had the internal sliding windows on this one for the simple purpose that he has a trap going on the front that would conflict with the sliding windows.
Right, okay, yeah.
You have your sliding
That's a
windows
good
on
idea,
the outside. So the trap will go on the outside, the sliding windows are on the inside, obviously, to keep his loft warm and dry. Another interesting thing about this loft here, it's all been done lined and insulated. So it gives you a 90mm thick wall, which is pretty much brickwork thick. The building itself is comprised of layers. So you have your outside tongue and groove, which you can see here. On the inside of the tongue and groove, what you can't see is there's a vapor barrier within the internal wall. You've got your framework, and then you have your insulation on the inside of the building. On the inside of the walls, so this particular customer can't get this access through his back garden, it's all going to go through the house. So this apex has been made to take off. This is a solid section here. So everything here is no bigger than 6'3", 75 inches, which will basically go through a normal house door. So the top will come off, the bottom half, and everything under that will all drop into 75 inches. You'll just have your corridors coming through here, which help to support the roof line. This will have an internal sliding partition, so the partition will slide in between, between the boards, so you don't have any door to hit the pigeons on the way through. You got each sliding door on the outside as well.
And what's the thickness of the cladding? What did you say?
22mm thick is the overall
and it was
thickness of the cladding. Starts as 25mm.
And it's from where?
It's a Russian redwood, all grown in Siberia. So it will obviously stand the test of time. They can't cut the trees down until they hit about at least 100 years old. Due to the simple fact they're just not thick enough. So it's just very slow growing timber.
They have very short periods of growth time.
So we also pay an additional premium to have the timber kiln dried, which basically means they cut the natural moisture content down to about 15-20%, which is left to dry out naturally. So that means you're just going to get far less movement with the timber. You're going to get just a longer duration from your timber, as long as you keep the building treated.
And so with the floor, is there options to have that, the stuff that they use for trailers, the back of trailers? Do you have that as an option? Or
we can do whatever the customer requires.
I've got young birds from this season that are going to be yearlings next season. So I've only got 2 sections in my loft, and I'm going to be breeding from the ones I've got now. There's going to be nowhere for the young birds to go, or nowhere for the old birds to go, or yearlings to go. So I need a new loft. And then a couple of people mentioned you or tagged Blake's loft. So you work for Blake, so you sort of saw the thread, did you, or did somebody comment? I've been to see Tranter lofts. Because I can't remember, somebody suggested them or wherever I found them, and I thought, while I'm over here I'll come and have a look and see if I can get to see some lofts in the flesh, because they're not that many people seem to have them anymore. It's all summer houses, isn't it?
We used to make so many, it was unbelievable, but now we make like maybe a couple of weeks.
A couple of weeks? That's still quite a lot. How many was so many then? How many did you used to make?
It was like out every day, doing 2, 4 a day.
And when was this? Like
years ago.
Okay. How old? You don't look that old. How old are you?
I'm 31.
Well, you look alright for 31.
About that when I first started.
So how long have you been here?
Since left school, so that make it 15 years somewhere.
So 15 years ago you were sending them out every day. So it's declined quite a lot then, hasn't it, in that short time?
Nowadays we do more summer house and stuff like that.
And the thing I've noticed, the reason I do these videos is because I want more people to get into it. And like I work in an industrial unit all day, and then when I get home I want to be out in the garden, and this is like the perfect thing. Kids enjoy it, a bit of competitive sport as well. So but I'm looking at getting and you guys deliver up my way, do you?
We deliver everywhere,
Yeah, and you erect them, and you just need a solid
level base.
Yeah. And what's the minimum you can get away with as far as a solid level base goes?
Well, well, we can put it up on anything. Just if you ain't very good, it won't last as long.
Yeah.
But if the base isn't perfect, we do what we can to try and get it right.
So I put brick pillars, like I said, and railway sleepers across those, so that it'll work. Because I wasn't sure I was going to enjoy it, so I built it before none of my family raised pigeons. So I built the loft to see if I'd enjoy doing it. Turns out I do, but I should have done a better job of building the loft, really. But there's a couple of things that I noticed different to what Trent have done. You treat your timber. They don't treat theirs. Do you have to treat it, or is that an optional thing? Or is that something you advise to do?
Well, this is only a water-based treatment for Sonic, so it's really just a colour.
Okay.
So really, you need to paint it again for the next 12 months and just keep painting regularly to make sure it's...
Okie dokie. And that floor is the floor that I kind of like the idea of, because this can scrape. They're more waterproof, I imagine, as well.
What it was is, we found that after a few years, the floors, especially where the water was, when you scrape it, the plies came away a little bit. So we changed to those quite a few years ago now, and it's been going down an absolute storm.
Any problems with them, or not wearing out when you're scraping it with a scraper? Okay.
From the same sort of boards that I'm on, like truck and trailer bodies and stuff. So
I'd heard about those.
Really hard wearing.
Yeah, and then and you've got that. What's this? This is something different, is it?
Usually in the box area, it's just a netting floor, so the same netting as this, but this one.
So I've built something like this, but it's not as nice. It's old tile battens that I found and just painted them, but it doesn't work. It kind of works, but yeah. So that's you got your floor and ventilation on the top, and then the trap system. Then you've got this. Is that just for them to do what they want with, or?
They're nailed shut, so at the minute, when we've put it up, there'll be a nice cat on the back, so the idea is any light birds can just drop in through there.
Right, okay, so where would they normally trap through?
Wherever you put your ETS trap. ETS trap.
So you'd have
some people put the ETS pad underneath that roof, but I don't know if that's allowed or not.
They've got to be, they can't clock in if the loft is closed, apparently. And that's the rule because I designed mine originally with a flap. So that you could do that, you could put your ETS pad there, but then when you closed it, they could no longer clock in. Apparently, some people commented and said you can't do that.
The rules are different. I know the rules are different in Europe and what they are here as well.
Okay. Can you optionally get thicker cladding?
12mm, which is half-inch, but we also do a 19mm log lap.
Right. Okay. Have you got any of that in, like an example of that?
Grab a piece.
So that's more substantial, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then it's still quite. And where'd you get this from? Where's this timber from? Do you know?
I think it's definitely Scandinavian. It's Scandinavian somewhere. I don't know where. It used to be Russian, but it's not now because of what's happening. But it's still coming from a Scandinavian country. I don't know which one.
Both of these loft manufacturers I've seen a lot about on Facebook, so I thought I'd go down and have a look. I want to see the build quality between the two. I haven't decided which one I'm going to go for. I've got about 18 feet, and I can have it as wide as I like, really, but about 18 feet maximum. And so I think you'd be looking at a couple of grand from Blake's maybe, and I didn't get the price, I will get that. And then I think it's double that than for the Tranter. So I guess you have to work out what it is that you want and whether you think it's good value. And I'd quite like to check out Echo Lofts before I decide which one I'm going to go for. And then that's going to be my main loft, I guess, for this coming season. So I've got until March anyway before I want to get it up.